Hey guys, what is up and welcome back to my channel. As you guys can tell from the different setup, I didn't know the best way to film this. I didn't know the best setup to film this. But I wanted to sit down and talk to you guys about life and where life has been. And as you guys can tell, I also wanted to talk about contemporary books and how contemporary books have really affected me recently. We are in a different kind of like setup today, obviously. My usual setup, I just didn't want to make this like a normal video, I guess, because I feel like this video is a little bit more personal than just talking about like books that I liked or whatever. I have a bunch of videos going up that I'm going to be filming this week because I'm actually on vacation, and those are all going to go up next week. If you have anything you want to see, just leave it in the comments. And then Friday, this coming Friday at 2 p.m. my time, I'm in Ohio. At 2 p.m. my time, I'm going to be doing just a live stream on my channel as opposed to doing like a big, like just doing a normal video, because obviously it is vacation and I wanted to do something a little bit more personal. And on Fridays, normally I don't have time to do that. If you guys hear noise outside, they are collecting our trash at our apartment complex. I'm sorry if that's loud. But I wanted to sit down and talk to you guys. As you guys know from some of the videos that I've done this month, I'll list them in the cards up above for you guys, but I've been doing a lot of trying to combat my negative thinking, like my OCD and my anxiety, trying to combat all of that over the last couple of months, because as you guys know, I'm going through, I just keep calling them life changes because I feel like people think that it's one thing that's happening when it's actually a ton of things that are happening. I have an interview this morning with a job that maybe will allow me to leave the job that I'm currently at, and there's a lot of things that are happening. There's a lot more happening than people think. Now, none of them are particularly hard to deal with. I mean, like, a couple of them are, you know, kind of really jarring, and a couple of them are more than I think I was ready for when other things were happening. Like, there is, obviously I separated from my husband, and I feel like that in itself was hard, and then everything else piling up on top of it made it even harder. So I feel like had any of these things been dealt with singularly, it would have been fine. But I have been really struggling. The first month that we were here, I discovered that I had tinnitus, and that, if you guys know what tinnitus is really hard. And I think that was happening. There was stuff happening at work. Obviously my life changes and moving and a new routine and not getting enough sleep, because I was sleeping like 2 hours a night. I feel like that really started a spiral for me, and I suffer very heavily with OCD, and I suffer very heavily with harm OCD. And there were like a week where I was like afraid to leave my house, because if you're not familiar with what harm OCD is, there's many types of OCD. And I had contamination OCD too, which is like I'm afraid to like take medicine and do certain, like eat certain things and come in contact with certain things. But my harm OCD is so bad sometimes, and what that is you pretty much worry constantly that you are a psychopath. I'm gonna leave in the down bar a description of harm OCD and a link if you guys would like resources for that, because a lot of people have reached out. So I spent a good week questioning every decision I've ever made in my life and anyone I've ever hurt, and my motivations behind, you know, like being friends with people and, you know, doing things like that, and just the normal things that I think humans do. I blew up in my mind as I'm just an awful person. And so I was really struggling with that, and it made it hard to want to go outside. It made it hard to, like at night, it made it very hard to sleep because you're obviously alone and everyone's in bed, and it's very, very traumatic. And I don't have insurance, so I can't go and see somebody. And I just kept telling myself, well, if it ever gets really bad, you can just go to the hospital and tell them this is how I'm feeling, and normally they take you in as inpatient. So I wasn't getting sleep. I was very anxious, very wound up, dealing with my OCD stuff, and it just felt like the whole world was falling apart. And when that happened, I was reading books that were triggering me. I was reading fantasy books where people were being conniving and people were killing each other, and it was very dark. And my OCD is so easily triggered that I couldn't read that. I could not sit there and read books about people doing things like that, about characters doing things like that. And it was very hard for me. That's part of the reason why I DNF'd King of Scars. It's part of the reason why I never finished the last Sarah J Maas book for The Throne of Glass. It's part of the reason why I haven't been reading a whole lot of fantasy. And it wasn't until I discovered Star Wars and started reading Star Wars again that I was like starting to feel okay. So for a while, a couple of weeks, it was just impossible. And I was up so late at night, and I'm not somebody who really watches TV because TV is also very triggering to me when it comes to my OCD, and being around people was really hard, so I didn't want to I couldn't hang out with my roommate because I was just like, I need to be alone, I needed to seclude myself, because when you're going through a harm OCD like flare-up, you feel like you need to just stay away from people completely. And so I was trying to figure out, because I was still working at the time, trying to figure out a way to calm myself down, to focus on something other than everything that I was focusing on. And I have the Libby app on my phone, so I actually started just requesting books from the library. And this started one night when I was at work. And I requested Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating because it was available. I requested Me Before You by Jojo Moyes, however you say her name. And I just started reading those, and they were so light and so fluffy and so, but also had like the content that I like in it. Like in Josh and Hazel, there's a really hard scene to read in there as well. So it wasn't like completely fluffy, but it was fluffy enough that it wasn't fantasy. And honestly, I think that that is the only thing that really got me through that, because all of my normal support, like my normal support system, wasn't there. And I was in a new place, and I was still working, and I was still dealing with a lot of stuff, and I didn't have the resources that I normally have. So to have contemporary, like to find contemporary at that time and to be reading it, and it literally saved my life. Like even now, if something happens, because there's obviously like things that still come up, if something else happens, I go back to contemporary. I go back to reading the fluffy stuff, because I do find value in it now, and I do think that people underestimate contemporary as a genre, like they look down on it, but I feel like it does have a lot of great things in it, like a great life lessons, if you will. And also the stories are just fun usually. But I was pretty, I wouldn't say I was suicidal, but I was definitely at the point where, like, I didn't want to kill myself by any means, but I was at the point where I kept thinking it'd just be easier if I didn't exist. It'd be easier if I wasn't around, kind of thing. And at one point in time, I kept telling myself, like, if things get really bad and you can't function and you're really struggling, you can just be done. Like, you can just end it. And that is when I was like, oh my God, like, I haven't felt like this since high school. Sorry, it's kind of hard to talk about. But it was like, for me, reading contemporary, because I was so sad and because I was struggling so badly, to have that, to be able to read that and really identify with it in a way, it really did save my life. Because when you're reading a fantasy book or whatever, there are some funny parts, there's some like uplifting parts, there's some, you know, like those kinds of stories. But in contemporary, it's primarily lighthearted. It is primarily easygoing kind of reading with occasionally something heavy thrown in. And I needed that dynamic. I needed to switch that. I needed it to be, you know, just like nice, fluffy, easy thing to read with occasionally something bad happening, as opposed to pretty bad and then occasionally something good happening. And I feel like people were really confused by that when I started reading contemporary. I feel like a lot of people were kind of excited because now I literally read everything. Like, I read any kind of book that I want to, and I don't hold myself back. But people were really concerned, or were really confused with why it was like all I was reading for a time. And that's why, because for a while I just wanted to stop existing. Like, I didn't want to exist anymore. I just wanted to just like fade away and go away. And I thought about just like deleting my channel and like not being around, and because I thought that I was just a horrible person for a while. And then also reading contemporary showed me, like, seeing them doing normal things in those books and seeing how they made light of it. Because the only treatment for OCD, you can't like You can't tell somebody over and over again, you're not a bad person, because that just like, it makes us seek the need for validation that we're not, when really we just need to focus on us and know that we're not like that we're not horrible people. And so reading in contemporary, like, they make light of some poor decisions that characters make, and in real life, the way to treat OCD is to be like, to make fun of it, essentially. Like, you have to, the best treatment is to joke about it. And I read that somewhere, and it really is, like, to make it seem less hard, to make it seem less like it's controlling your life. And I don't know, it really helped me to see characters handling that kind of stuff, like handling their day-to-day lives and their struggles and the things that they fuck up with, and to see it in that light and know that that's just like a human thing, that I'm not a horrible person. And it, like, I would have just, at one point in time, I was like, I'm gonna delete my channel, I'm gonna quit my job, I'm gonna, you know, I was like thinking about these things at like 5, 6, 7 in the morning when I couldn't sleep, and like what my life plan was, and is it ever gonna get better? And instead of like focusing on that, I just started reading and reading again and reading lighter stuff, and it really did help me. And this video might not make any sense, I'm really sorry, but I wanted to sit down because people have been asking me, because it is so jarring that all of a sudden that's what I'm reading on my channel. It's a lot of what I'm reading on my channel, and I think people were kind of confused by that. So that's really why I started reading contemporary, and that's kind of where I am right now. Like I said, I'm on vacation from work right now, and I took that vacation to get my sleep back in order, to get my eating, my health, my working out, like my life back in order, because I needed a fucking break. Like, I was really suffering, and I felt like I couldn't get air, and I couldn't get back up, and I couldn't get to where I needed to be again while also working. So it was really hard. So I was like, fuck it, I gotta take my vacation. So I took my paid vacation this week to just, you know, like, clean and sleep and work out and read when I want to read and play games when I want to play games, and do all of the things that make me happy, and not do them sporadically throughout the week when I can, but just the whole fucking week. Like, I'm off Monday till the following Thursday, so I'm off 10 days, and I'm so excited. Oh my god, you guys have no idea. I'm just so excited to be lazy and like not worry about stuff and relax and read, and I don't know. And then I just like slowly started, like, after reading contemporary for like a month straight, I slowly started reading other things. Like, I started reading Star Wars books again. Like, I read Deceived, and it was less scary and intimidating than I thought it was going to be, like, because I was worried, because I have been struggling so hard with those kinds of things, that I wouldn't be able to read it and not spiral, but I didn't. It was slowly introducing things back, I think, really helped me. And for any of you that also struggle with OCD, this type of OCD, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that this is the shit hand that life dealt us, because nothing is worse than feeling like you could hurt people, or that you are a bad person, and it's so hard. It's so hard sometimes, but I don't know. I've always been really transparent with you guys, and like talking about the OCD that I have is really hard, because when you're going through it or you're explaining it to people, you sound like you're crazy. Like, I remember the first person I ever told, and they were like, oh, so, like, you're unsafe, like, you're crazy, you're a psycho, and I'm just like, no, there's, like, there's a very big difference. So, I feel like it's one of the most misunderstood forms of OCD. There's a ton of them, but I feel like this one is the most jarring for people, because we're so into crime and, you know, all of that crap in our daily lives, like the serial killer podcasts and, you know, all that shit. So it, like, I don't know, people get interested in it and then they get weirded out by it. But I think I'm gonna leave the video here. If you have any questions about harm OCD, other forms of OCD, contemporary books that I've fallen in love with recently, that kind of thing, leave it down below and I'll try my best to answer it. my goals this week are also to get back on commenting and responding to stuff and being more involved and all that, because I have the time to do it now. So yeah, if you have any questions, let me know down below. But I hope this video was helpful. Like I said, if anybody else struggles with this, I'm so sorry that you're also dealing with this. If you're going through something and it's really hard, just know that it does get better. Like, it gets better. Because that week that everything was happening for me, I thought that nothing would ever make sense again. I thought everything was falling apart. I thought that I was doomed and this is just my life now and like, is it worth living? And then, you know, a week later I was fine again. So just remember that it does get better, and to take care of yourself and to put yourself first, and to just read shitty books that you want to read, or play video games constantly, or take a day off from work, or whatever you need to do to like reset your life. It's incredibly important because our life is just go, go, go all the time. Like that's our society. It's just go, 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 go. And we need to scale back and worry about ourselves. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm sorry that I was fucking hot mess for half of it. I don't really know how to say like how it became so important and really how it affected my life, but I hope you guys understand. But yeah, I love you guys a lot. I'm going to get off of here. If you guys want to join me, the live stream on Friday will be at 2 p.m. my time. I think I'm EDT. I'm in Ohio in the United States. So 2 p.m. Ohio, United States time. If you would like to join in on the live stream, I'm going to be doing the, what's it called? It's basically the tag that's like, have you ever been involved in drama? Have you ever read a book and lied about it? I think it's like the truthful YouTuber tag or something like that. But yeah, so if you want to watch that, that's what we're going to be doing on Friday, just having a little live stream and talking about stuff. So yeah, I love you guys a lot. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to leave it here, and I will see you in the live stream on Friday if you want to join us. All right, bye.